I never thought I'd be writing this, but after everything that's happened, I need to get it off my chest. 3 years ago, I married the love of my life, Daniel. He was kind, thoughtful, and made me feel like the most important person in the world. What I didn't realize was that by marrying him, I was also signing up for a lifetime of subtle exclusion from his family, particularly his mother, Evelyn. When Daniel and I first started dating, Evelyn seemed perfectly pleasant. She would invite us over for Sunday dinners, ask about my job as a pediatric nurse, and even complimented my cooking when I brought dishes to family gatherings. Looking back, I should have noticed the warning signs, how she would subtly redirect conversations when I was speaking, the way family photos were taken with me conveniently asked to take the picture, or how she would plan family events without checking if I could attend. After our wedding, things changed dramatically. Evelyn began organizing family-only events, brunches, weekend trips, even holiday celebrations, where I was either not invited or made to feel like an afterthought. Daniel would often say, "Mom just forgot to mention it to you," or "She didn't think you'd be interested since you work so much." I wanted to believe him, to believe that I wasn't being deliberately excluded. The first major incident happened 6 months into our marriage. Daniel's sister Melissa had her baby, and the entire family went to the hospital, except me. I found out through social media, seeing pictures of everyone holding my new nephew while I was at work. When I asked Daniel why no one had called me, he seemed confused. "Mom said she texted you. Didn't you get it?" I checked my phone. Nothing. When I confronted Evelyn, she smiled sweetly and said, "Oh, I must have forgotten in all the excitement." You understand, don't you, dear? Family moments can be so overwhelming. I tried harder after that. I volunteered to host dinners, remembered everyone's birthdays with thoughtful gifts, and made myself available whenever family gatherings were planned. But the pattern continued. I discovered plans had changed at the last minute. Photos would be posted of family outings I hadn't known about. Conversations would halt when I entered a room. Daniel couldn't, or wouldn't, see it. "You're being too sensitive," he'd say. "Mom loves you. She's just old-fashioned about family stuff." I started documenting everything. The forgotten invitations. The seating arrangements at family dinners, where I was always placed far from Daniel. The group chats I wasn't included in. The family traditions I wasn't taught. It wasn't paranoia. It was a systematic effort to keep me on the outside. The breaking point came last Christmas. Daniel's family had a tradition of opening one gift on Christmas Eve. When we arrived at Evelyn's house, everyone had a small package waiting for them. Everyone except me. I watched as Daniel, his sister, his father, even his sister's husband opened their gifts. Beautiful, thoughtful presents that showed how well Evelyn knew and loved them. "Oh, Emma," Evelyn said when she noticed me sitting empty-handed. "I didn't forget you. Your gift is just special. I'm saving it for tomorrow." When I quietly asked Evelyn about it, she looked genuinely surprised. "I could have sworn I put it under the tree. It must have gotten lost in all the wrapping paper." "I'll mail it to you." 3 weeks later, nothing arrived. When Daniel finally asked his mother about it, she claimed she'd given it to him to give to me. He denied this, but then quickly changed the subject, uncomfortable with the conflict. That night, I broke down. 3 years of exclusion, gaslighting, and feeling like I didn't matter crashed over me. "Your mother is deliberately pushing me out of this family," I told Daniel, through tears. "And you're letting her." "That's ridiculous," he replied, his voice rising. "You're making something out of nothing. Mom has always been welcoming to you." I showed him my documentation, the text messages, the photos, the pattern that was impossible to ignore once laid out. He looked at it for a moment, then pushed it away. "You've been keeping a file on my mother? That's crazy, Emma. I think you need to talk to someone about this paranoia." I felt like I was drowning. The man who had promised to be my partner was gaslighting me, just like his mother. I went to stay with my sister that night, wondering if my marriage was over. The next day, I received a text from Melissa, Daniel's sister. "Can we meet for coffee? Just us." Curious and cautious, I agreed. At the cafe, Melissa surprised me. "I've seen what Mom's been doing to you," she said quietly. "She did the same thing to my husband for the first few years. It's like a test. She wants to see if you'll fight to be part of the family or just fade away." "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked, hurt that she'd watched me struggle. "I tried, with Jason. Mom just got worse, more secretive about it. Eventually, Jason confronted her directly, and things improved. But Daniel, he's always been Mom's favorite." He can't see her flaws. Melissa's confirmation was both validating and heartbreaking. I wasn't crazy. But my husband was blind to his mother's manipulation. When I returned home, Daniel was waiting. I talked to Melissa, he said, his voice subdued. And then I called Mom. She denied everything, of course. Said you were trying to come between us. He paused, looking torn. But then she said something about how daughters-in-law need to earn their place. That's when I realized, you might be right. It was a small crack in his denial, but it wasn't enough. Over the next few months, the pattern continued. Daniel would occasionally notice his mother's behavior, but then dismiss it or make excuses. I was exhausted from constantly having to prove my experiences were real. Then came the announcement of the annual family vacation, a week at a beach house the family had been renting for years. Daniel was excited, talking about all the traditions and memories. I waited for details, for my inclusion in the plans. One evening, I overheard Daniel on the phone with his mother. Yeah, I think Emma will be fine with it. She's been picking up extra shifts at the hospital anyway. I know, Mom. Family time is important. He looked uncomfortable. Oh, Mom thought it might be nice if this year's vacation was just for the original family, before marriages and kids, for old time's sake. So it's just me who's not invited. My voice was calm, but inside I was shaking. It's not like that, Emma. It's just 1 year. You'll be working anyway, right? In that moment, something inside me snapped. 3 years of being treated like an unwelcome guest in my own family, of having my experiences denied, of watching my husband fail to stand up for me. It was enough. You're right, I said, surprising him with my agreement. I will be working. And you should absolutely go and enjoy your family vacation. For the next few weeks, I was the perfect supportive wife. I helped Daniel pack, suggested places they could visit, even prepared some of his favorite snacks for the road. All while my plan took shape. The day before the family was set to leave, I called in a favor with the property management company that handled the beach house rental. A former patient's mother worked there, and was happy to help me with what I described as a surprise for my in-laws. The morning of their departure, I kissed Daniel goodbye and wished him a wonderful trip. Then I called my sister and my closest friends. Are you still up for that girls' trip we talked about? I asked. They were. 3 hours after Daniel left, I was on the road too, with 5 of my favorite people, heading to a luxury beach house I had rented just 2 properties down from my in-laws' rental. I didn't tell Daniel. I didn't tell anyone in his family. I simply posted a photo on social media that evening. Me and my friends, champagne glasses raised, with the caption, "When you're not invited to the family vacation, make your own. Better company anyway. #choosing my happiness." Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. Daniel called 7 times. I let it go to voicemail. Evelyn texted, her message dripping with false concern. Emma dear, there seems to be some confusion. You were always welcome to join us. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I enjoyed a magnificent week with people who actually wanted me around. We had spa days, went sailing, ate at the best restaurants, and laughed until our sides hurt. I posted photos daily, making sure they could see exactly what they had missed by excluding me. Meta. On the 3rd day, Melissa and Jason showed up at our beach house. Mind if we join the fun? Melissa asked, a mischievous glint in her eye. Mom's having a meltdown, and Daniel is finally seeing what we've been trying to tell him. They stayed with us for the remainder of the vacation. Jason shared stories of his own struggles with Evelyn, and for the first time, I felt truly understood and supported by members of Daniel's family. When the week ended, and I returned home, Daniel was waiting. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. You could have just told me you were going on your own trip, he said. His voice a mix of anger and hurt. Like your mother told me about the family vacation? I replied calmly. I learned from the best, Daniel. When you want to exclude someone, you just don't tell them things. The color drained from his face as his own words were reflected back at him. My mother was horrible to you on this trip, he said quietly. After your posts started appearing, she couldn't stop talking about how you were trying to embarrass the family, how you were always looking for attention. And then Melissa and Jason left to join you. It was like something broke. I could suddenly see everything you've been trying to tell me. I didn't rush to forgive him. 3 years of gaslighting and dismissal had eroded my trust. Seeing it once isn't enough, Daniel. This has been my reality since we got married. In the weeks that followed, Daniel started therapy to work through his relationship with his mother. He set firm boundaries with her for the first time in his life, making it clear that I was his family now, and any disrespect toward me would not be tolerated. Evelyn, predictably, didn't take it well. There were tearful phone calls, accusations that I had changed her son, even a dramatic health scare that mysteriously resolved once Daniel rushed to her side. The real surprise came from Daniel's father, who had always been a quiet presence in family dynamics. He called me privately and apologized. "I've watched Evelyn do this for years," he admitted. "First to Melissa's husband, now to you. I should have stepped in long ago." 6 months after the beach house incident, we had our first family dinner with new boundaries in place. Evelyn was cold but civil. When she accidentally excluded me from a conversation, Daniel immediately called it out. When she suggested a mother-son lunch, he countered with a family lunch that explicitly included me. It wasn't perfect, and it probably never will be. But for the first time since marrying Daniel, I felt visible in his family. Lestad's Kur Parji. As for our marriage, we're rebuilding. Trust comes slowly after it's been broken. But Daniel is putting in the work, not just with his mother, but in recognizing how his own behavior enabled the exclusion I experienced. This year we're planning our own vacation and inviting family members who have shown they respect our marriage. Evelyn and her games aren't welcome. I've learned that sometimes you have to create a scene to stop being treated like a prop in someone else's family portrait. Sometimes you have to show people exactly what they're missing when they choose to exclude you. And sometimes, the family you choose is more valuable than the family you marry into. So AITA for canceling my in-laws' vacation plans by creating my own spectacular trip right next door? Maybe. But for the first time in 3 years, I'm visible. And I'm never going back to being the invisible daughter-in-law again. I didn't expect this post to resonate with so many people, but your comments and support have been overwhelming. Many of you asked for an update, so here it is. Daniel and I are still in couples therapy, and he's continued his individual sessions as well. The most significant change has been watching him recognize patterns in his childhood that normalized his mother's controlling behavior. He's had several difficult conversations with his father about the family dynamics, which have been eye-opening for both of them. Evelyn has made minimal progress. She still attempts her exclusionary tactics, but now they're met with immediate consequences. When she forgot to include me in the Thanksgiving invitation, Daniel declined to attend without me. When she seated us at opposite ends of the table at a family dinner, we simply picked up our plates and sat together. The most surprising development has been my relationship with Daniel's father, Robert. Once he started standing up to Evelyn alongside Daniel, he's become a different person, more engaged, more present. He recently confided that he's been keeping the peace for decades, at the expense of authentic relationships. Now he calls me directly to chat or make plans, something that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Melissa, Jason and I have formed a tight bond. We have a standing monthly dinner where we can laugh about the latest family drama and support each other. Jason told me that watching me stand up for myself gave him the courage to address some long-standing issues with Evelyn as well. As for Daniel and me, we're stronger than we've ever been. The beach house incident forced us to have conversations we'd been avoiding about loyalty, family, and partnership. He's become my fiercest advocate, and I've learned to trust that he'll have my back. We're expecting our first child in the spring, which has brought new challenges with Evelyn. She's already talking about grandmother privileges and family traditions. But this time, Daniel and I are united in establishing boundaries from the start. To those of you in similar situations, you're not crazy, you're not too sensitive, and you deserve to be treated as a full member of your family. Sometimes making waves is the only way to calm the waters.